Welcome back, Defenders. Jake here. We're going to start today's video with a finance update because I might be the only YouTuber talking about both the war in Ukraine and what Western central banks are doing to try and break Russia. So here in the United States, the Federal Reserve met this week and they raised their central interest rate by 25 basis points. But it's not just here in the United States. The central banks of Australia, Canada, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, and the European Union are also aggressively raising their interest rates. One, to combat inflation and get inflation under control, but two, I argue, to break Russia. Now, I've explained this more in detail in previous videos. I highly recommend you check out this video titled, "Why Has Russia Not Collapsed Yet?" It's already gotten 529,000 views. But the synopsis of that video is that Western central banks are aggressively raising interest rates with the expectation or hope that this is going to break the Russian economy. So if we go back to February of last year, prior to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, central bank interest rates were basically at 0%. And since Russia invaded Ukraine, they've been trying to raise these as fast as possible. So what is the federal funds effective rate? And this is the rate at which banks borrow and lend money to each other overnight. What does that mean? What impact does that have? And the federal funds effective rate affects the bank prime loan rates. This is the base rate that banks charge you for a car loan, a personal loan, a small business loan, a student loan, and even credit cards. So when the federal funds effective rate is basically at zero, banks are charging 3.25% as their prime rate. They're then going to tack on additional percentages for student loans, car loans, whatever. So when the federal funds effective rate goes up, the bank prime loan rate also goes up. Banks actually make more money when interest rates go up. And the biggest impact that the federal funds effective rate going up has is on the housing market, the real estate market. So if it's more expensive to borrow money, most people just borrow less money. They're not buying new cars, they're not taking out small business loans, and it becomes more difficult to buy a new house. So the 30-year fixed rate mortgage rate here in the United States, it's currently at 6.42%. I do believe this is going to go up further, possibly to 7 or 8%. But the biggest impact this has on the money supply is that people are not cash out refinancing their properties, their homes. When interest rates are 2.6%, it makes sense to refinance your mortgage for a lower rate, pull out the equity, and then have a good time with that money. Maybe you start a business, maybe you just take a really nice vacation. But when mortgage rates are higher like this, nobody is refinancing. All the people who locked in a 2.6% mortgage in 2020 and 2021, they're never going to refinance that and pull the equity out of their real estate. So here is an interesting chart. This is M1. This is the Federal Reserve's best guess as to how much money there is in the world. This is US dollars. And this is in billions of dollars. So currently the Federal Reserve thinks there's 19,641 billion, which is $19 trillion. And generally, this always goes up. Liquidity is a problem, so as long as the money supply is always expanding, usually financial markets are stable. But if we go back to March of last year, when central banks started tightening, that was peak money. The money supply is now contracting, and it's going to continue contracting until more things break. Here in the United States, we've had 3 bank failures, and the bank failures are not because they made bad investments like mortgage-backed securities in 2008, 2009, they were holding government bonds that had lost value. And they needed to sell those bonds to cover customer deposit withdrawals. So this is a liquidity crunch from the money supply contracting. This is all deliberate. This is all planned. And here in the United States, I argue as long as the unemployment rate stays below 5%, the Fed is going to keep raising interest rates and holding them until inflation is under 2%. The added benefit to people around the world is global demand for energy and commodities is collapsing. So here is the price of natural gas in Europe, and it's at a 2-year low. This was Russia's master plan to squeeze the Europeans of energy and cause them to withdraw their support for Ukraine in order to get the gas flowing again. This is blown up in Russia's face. Additionally, the price of oil globally for everyone has continued falling, but for Urals oil coming out of Russia, it continues to collapse. So the price cap of $60 is still in effect, but currently Russia's oil exports, it's selling at $48 a barrel. It continues to go down as as demand for global energy continues to go down. So it's billionaire investor Warren Buffett who said, "Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked." So here in the United States, we're going to have more bank failures. We're going to have more companies going bankrupt. Those are the people swimming naked. On top of this, there's going to be a lot of turmoil with governments and government budgets. And I'm arguing to you guys that Russia is swimming naked and something is going to break this year. Russia is the least prepared country in the world for a global catastrophe or global recession. They don't have access to the international bond markets. Nobody is going to loan them money. The Chinese are not going to save them. Let's now get to some other interesting news. And Russia is dusting off antique tanks from the 1940s as its losses mount in Ukraine. Oh my gosh. These things are being called coffins on treads. Museum-grade tanks have been spotted moving from repair bases in Russia to go to Ukraine. So Russia scrapes deeper into the bottom of its kit barrel as it moves to the field antique T-54, T-55 series of tanks. Even pro-Kremlin commentators are appalled by this. So here's a comparison in size to the British Challenger 2 tank that Ukraine is receiving. And this is a Russian T-55 that was designed and built in the 1940s. This was just after World War II. So here's the video of these T-55s being spotted on a train heading for Ukraine.
Вторая вереница. Сейчас еще одна такая же была полоса.
Wow. So here's some analysis from Konstantin. He's a Ukrainian veteran. And he says mobile firepower is good. Even if you are hit with a cannon from the 1800s, you're still going to die. However, T-54s and T-55s will bring enormous logistical challenges. The benefits of having them on the battlefield will be outweighed by enormous fuel consumption, low reliability, and decreased morale. A tank on your side is always nice, but only if it functions. After 1 to 2 months, these tanks will fall apart and be abandoned by the Russian soldiers on the front lines. These tanks will only be helpful if modernized with good engines, seals, O-rings, and sights, but Russia has no such capabilities, so these tanks will quickly become a liability. Here's my favorite meme. Everyone on Twitter has been roasting Russia over this the last couple days, but here's Bernie Sanders. Russia deploys T-90, T-80, and T-72 tanks to Ukraine, Russia deploys T-62s from the 1960s. This happened a couple months ago. Russia is now deploying T-55s and T-54s from the 1940s. So the only thing we're missing here is the T-34 tank that the Russians were fighting with during World War II. It's probably going to happen. So let's now check in with the front lines, and the city of Bakhmut continues to hold. Russia is incompetent, and we're getting new indications that Russia is running out of steam continuously attacking this city. Here's a crazy headline. Wagner Group to shift focus from Ukraine war after military feud and heavy losses. So the leader of the Wagner Group, Prigozhin, has been openly fighting with Shoigu and the regular Russian military over artillery and ammunition supplies. So according to Bloomberg sources, Prigozhin plans to turn his focus back to Africa, where his fighters are believed to have a presence in Sudan, the Central African Republic, Mali, and other countries. So prior to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Wagner Group was pretty active in Africa, seizing gold and diamond mines to funnel money for themselves. And initially, the Wagner Group was brought to Ukraine to have experience and expertise to do the dirty work for the Russian military. But Prigozhin has basically been cut off from his supply of meat. So starting 6 or 7 months ago, Prigozhin started mass recruiting from the prisons and then using these poor prisoners in the most brutal, inhumane human meat wave attacks. And that's the only reason why the Wagner Group was capable of advancing. Nowhere else for the last 7 or 8 months has the regular Russian military been capable of taking significant territory. But Shoigu, the defense minister, seeing the Wagner's success in areas like Soledar, he didn't like this, that Prigozhin was gaining power and prestige, especially on social media. So Prigozhin has been cut off. The Wagner Group tried opening recruitment offices and gyms around Russia, but I don't think many people are signing up, and I don't think they want to be used in such a brutal fashion. So Prigozhin is basically saying, I'm breaking up with Ukraine, it's been fun, I want to peace out, go back to Africa and keep making money off of stealing gold and diamond mines. So good riddance if he actually does end up pulling his forces from Ukraine. So here's a report. Ukraine will soon take advantage of Russian troops' fatigue in Bakhmut. This is according to Syrskyi, the commander for the ground forces of Ukraine. He praised the superhuman resilience, courage, and bravery of Ukrainian soldiers on the front line, saying that something big is coming soon. We just got to wait potentially another couple weeks. So let's get an update from a frontline defender. This is Roman. He's not in the city of Bakhmut, but he's in a trench just outside the city.
This fight begins at 6 in the morning, and now it's 13. It still continues, and I'm totally physically and emotionally exhausted because it's 3 or 4 days. I don't know actually. It's continued 3 or 4 days. Sleepless night, maybe 1 or 2, maximum 3 hours per day. Non-regular food. So for today it's my first meal. I was so lucky enough to find in my pocket this energy bar with berry and chocolate, and it's so cool. Because today I lost a few combat brothers. Also I destroyed a few invaders. I received so much emotions for my whole future life, and of course physically and emotionally this got exhausted. But I'm so appreciated to eat this delicious energy bar and That's true. That's totally true. So if I'll survive here, my life will be even more valuable than before because I'm sure that life is a great present. Yeah, totally.
Roman's incredible. I hope he stays safe. So how are the Russians doing on the other side? And Russia is promising recruits a $650 reward for every kilometer that they advance. This is pathetic. Russia's latest recruits are eligible for a bonus of 3,800 US dollars when they sign their contract and a monthly salary of $2,600. But they gotta motivate these guys to go on the attack. Russia is trying to steal land. So in addition, if the soldier is assigned to the Russian front line as part of an assault detachment, he will be rewarded with a payment of 50,000 rubles, or about $650 for every kilometer gained. And at the same time, I can show you this article. Same day, I can show you this article. Russian soldiers in Ukraine face increasing payment delays. So Russian soldiers fighting in Ukraine and their families have increasingly been complaining of delayed salary payments. Residents of 52 Russian regions, as well as the annexed Crimean Peninsula, have said their family members currently fighting in Ukraine have been receiving delayed or partial salary payments, while some haven't been paid at all. So Russia can offer financial incentives. I don't think this is moving the needle in convincing anyone to sign up or convincing anyone to participate in a human meat wave attack. $650 doesn't really help you if you're dead. On top of that, Russia's probably not going to pay your family when you die. Let's do a quick follow-up on the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant for Putin. And Russia is introducing benefits for children wounded in Ukraine. So Russia will introduce Social Security benefits for Ukrainian children wounded in the war, citing Presidential Children Rights Commissioner Maria Lvova-Belova. So these are the two people that the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for their child abduction program. And this is the real Putin. This is the guy with poor posture, a puffy neck, nervously fiddling his hands. He's getting super skinny. Just look how thin his legs are and how baggy this suit is on him now. And I want to point out that this is not some unflattering photo captured by a free press. This picture was taken in his office, meaning this was one of the good photos that they chose to take and then give in a media report. So he looks terrible. And we do have good news. 17 Ukrainian children kidnapped by Russia in Kherson have been returned to their parents. So I want to clarify some of these numbers. How many Ukrainian children have been taken from Ukraine and deported to Russia? And it's in the hundreds of thousands. But most of those children were deported with their parents, and they're all together in filtration camps. But there are tens of thousands of Ukrainian children who were taken from their parents after being separated, or maybe their parents were murdered by the Russian military, or they were just taken from their parents inside of Russia. There's currently tens of thousands of Ukrainian children being held against their will in political re-education camps to Russify them. So Russia's been getting a lot of bad press and criticism, so stuff like this and returning only 17 kids, this is to give cover for their propagandists and trolls in the comments section saying these ICC arrest warrants are absurd. Look, Russia's offering Social Security benefits and they returned 17 kids. What is Ukraine complaining about? I'm not going to play this clip for you. I'll put it in the pinned comment down below if you want to check it out. But of course, these Ukrainian children who were returned were interviewed. This clip is about 2 minutes, and you can watch it for yourself if you want to see. Of course, these children were treated terribly by the Russians. All right, we've got some good news for Ukraine. 4 Slovakian MiG-29s were flown directly to Ukraine to join their air force. So these are the planes that were recently promised by Slovakia. I think it's 10 or 11, but the first 4 are officially now in Ukraine. So the Ukrainian pilots, I guess, took a bus to Slovakia in order to pick up the jets, and they just flew them home. And of course, Russia's not going to do anything about it. Russia's not going to, they can't do anything. And this is poetic justice. I like this tweet. The former Warsaw Pact states, from Estonia in the north to Bulgaria in the south, they're now turning all of their old Soviet-era weapons against the Kremlin. So for 40 or 50 years, the Kremlin built all of this military equipment to go to war with NATO, go to war with the West. And all of these weapons are now being used to defeat the Kremlin today. Poetic justice. More good news, France is training Ukrainian pilots on Mirage planes, the Le Figaro. France is currently training about 30 Ukrainian pilots on their aircraft. The political decision to transfer planes hasn't been made, but France is being proactive and they're training these pilots now, so in a couple weeks or a couple months, if they do decide to send, I guess, 10 of these fighter jets, the pilots will already be trained on them. Final couple clips I have for you. The first one is from Alexei Goncharenko. He is a member of parliament, I believe, who represents the city of Odessa. And this clip is 2 minutes, but I think it's really powerful to watch, so I'm gonna share the whole thing with you guys.
Hello to everybody. I'm now in Izyum. It's Kharkiv region. Heavy fightings were here, and I just want to show you something very impressive. I'm staying in one part of the building, residential house, big residential building. This is the second part, and in between there was the third part, the middle of this building, which is now destroyed by Russian air bomb. Just watch it this. So I'm staying on the 5th floor. This is another part. This is destroyed. Just watch here. These are books, shelves. Just watch here. Small TV. A sewing machine. Just the steps. And what I want to show you. By the way, there are people who lived here. This is computer, a lot of books. So intelligent people lived here. And I want to show you 2 things. First is this book. This is Sergei Yesenin, famous Russian poet. And what Russia did with these people who were sitting here in their apartment, just imagine. Normal life, computer, they were reading poems of Sergei Yesenin. And then Russia came and destroyed all of this. And what I want to show you, probably the most impressive, is this piano. This piano is staying just over, you see? Just over this destroyed part of the building. And it's still here. Piano. Culture. And you know the name of this piano? The name of this piano is Ukraine. Piano Ukraine. Ukraine is standing. Ukraine is not destroyed. And that is very symbolic. And here, this is Bible. With God's help, we will win this war. We will rebuild everything. But those who did this, who destroyed lives of these people, they should pay their price for what they did. Thank you. Please share this video.
So this was the home of a Russian-speaking family in Izyum, and this is what the Russian military and the Russian government did to them, completely shattering their lives, destroying their homes, making them refugees. If they're still alive, they might have been in this apartment building when the Russians blew it up. Final clip I want to share with you is from an Irish musician, Patrick Dexter. and he's going to play a Ukrainian folk song in the Cherry Garden to express his support for Ukraine. Ukraine will win, Russia will be defeated. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.